those really aggressive openings, and it works for Thijs. I mean, like this deck seems really stable, and it works, and it's a very powerful deck. You can stop it obviously, but for this show match, Forsen is having trouble. He is down to his last deck, which is Mage. I don't think it's a mech mage. I will be opting this is some kind of a control mill mage, and maybe this will be enough like for Forsen. Like Forsen has shown us some fortitude before, so maybe he will actually be able to take the series with this mage. But he is in trouble.
Oh yeah, definitely a little bit of trouble. But as you mentioned, Forsen also, I mean, Forsen known to kind of just have fun with his decks and whatnot. And Mill Mage is all the rage these days, and we're already seeing an Alexstrasza in hand for Forsen. So
this seems like a control mage with Ice Barrier and Ice Lance. Alexstrasza, Scientist, seems like he just wants to stall Alexstrasza, your opponent, when you have Ice Block, and then just win.
Yeah, Frost Nova, Frostbolt, all the freezing spells that Jaina has in her arsenal in Hearthstone coming out for Forsen right now. And we see the mulligans going through as Undertaker comes out once again for Thijs, trying to get that sweep.
This time he didn't get any other defrauded minions. He can still top deck one, and he doesn't. So now he needs to decide what to do. If he wants to develop the minion or maybe Frostbolt. Thijs still doesn't know which mage is he playing against. Mad Scientist is popular in actually in any build. Like I would say, Mech Mage didn't have Scientist, but apparently now it has. So
yeah,
you can play Scientist in any mage deck.
Very true. It's definitely hard to tell, and this is what we talked about, right? With Mage, it takes a turn or two more than it does with certain other classes to try to figure out what's going on. And he wants to keep his Undertaker alive, also not risk anything here. He'll get to check the secret once. Power Blast coming in hand for Forsen, not going to be useful for a long time.
I haven't seen Pyroblast in a while. I'm really happy that it's back in the meta game, let's say.
It's definitely exciting to see it. And then again, Frostbolt from the other side too, though, just to keep the board clean and tidy.
Well, for Thijs, it's like he does what he does best, just plays minions and curve. Undertaker died, but it's fine. Like it wasn't that necessary for Thijs, and right now with this opening, he is fine. But he will be top decking. Like he doesn't have any cards, so whatever he can draw is good for him. But playing versus Control Mage, you also might think about not overextending too much. But with Fireball in hand, he is safe from Doomsayer, so probably he can go for like face as with a pretty simple strategy. Just attack with your minions, try to get Mage as low as possible. But then again, like Forsen can play Molten Giants, so how low do you get Forsen? Because if you face Molten Giants in the heal bot and then Echo of Medivh, like turn 5 or 6, you will be in trouble for sure.
That's true, yeah. I mean, at this point, you do have to start calculating that health total, because those Molten Giants, it's not just the hand locks that you have to watch out for them, rather. And so Forsen, especially with his secret, Ice Bearer being up there, he feels pretty comfortable just filling his hand, right? And he's got quite a few spells to really ramp him up to that end of the game.
On the other hand, Forsen doesn't have that much removal. He has the Frost Nova, that's fine, but he will have to survive till turn 7 to be able to cast a proper Flame Strike, where Thijs needs to accumulate removal. I'm not sure if there is a good way for Thijs to go through Ice Block, but if he is able to get Forsen to 1, and then Forsen plays Ice Block, it will be really easy to remove it. So that will be Thijs' plan.
So, I mean, he should be able to calculate it fairly well here, especially using Hero Power in that last moment to bring him down just to 1, guarantee the lethal next turn. Now we do see another Ice Block, though, in hand for Forsen, so he can just press that emergency red button one last turn and try to survive if need be. And we're pretty close to turn 7, as you mentioned.
With the spare part, Thijs can also generate another spare part by returning one of the minions to hand. Or can just save the minion from... I mean, like, he can return Think Master Technician and then just get another spare part. Or he can basically save a minion from Flame Strike, where just, you know, if he doesn't draw into anything specific.
Yeah, that's actually really true. Now with the Frost Nova, he's not going to get free for damage there, but maybe you bring it back. Ooh.
Sky Golem. Sky Golem is interesting because when Forsen casts Flame Strike, Sky Golem is producing a minion that will be able to deal damage.
Mm-hmm. The very next turn. So, I mean, I think you definitely play it, even if you know the Flame Strike's probably coming. I mean, again, like you mentioned, that's what the Death Rattle is for, right? If you try to play around that with the Sky Golem, you're playing a little bit too slow. So,
oh man, he gets a Doomsayer, which is one turn too late, and Thijs knows that there was no Doomsayer because he plays Loot Hoarder. That was Sigh of Relief for sure. You know, Doomsayer could just clear the board, and right now there's like no point in playing the Doomsayer. You just need to survive till turn 7 to have that Flame Strike.
Yeah.
You can think about fireballing Pilot Shredder to be able to like prepare the board for a Flame Strike.
Yeah, and it'll it's gonna decrease the damage quite a bit too, given that it's gonna be a 4-drop coming out. Not gonna see that crazy damage coming out.
He's thinking about Doomsayer because if he plays Doomsayer, it tanks 7 damage at least. So there's some kind of guarantee that, that the board will be cleared, or at least 7 points of damage is getting into Doomsayer. Mm-hmm. So then the Ice Block will not get popped. But can Thijs pop the Ice Block right now? I think he can. It's like 10, 14, 16 points of damage. So he can easily get forced into 1.
Yeah.
1 health.
In fact, he can pop it if he uses the Whirling Blades, right? And then you can just use the Hero Power the turn after. Right, like Hero Power both turns plus Whirling Blades this turn.
Yeah, that's basically the trick. Look, you just get the mage to 1, and then you save one of the minions from the Flame Strike, just in case.
Sounds like a plan. And my screen seems to be frozen here on that turn, but there we go. We do see that going through for me to just caught up. So Forsen, yeah, he's gonna have to play that Ice Block again.
And that's the second Ice Block, so right now Forsen is definitely in trouble. He needs to draw into Alexstrasza. Can Forsen actually get his signature move and get Alexstrasza and win the game after that? I highly doubt it. It will be tough. I mean, he has a Loot Hoarder, so he will have an extra draw.
Yeah, but it's also turn 8, right? So
yeah, he won't be able to play it here. He needs a heal bot. Like, he's dead to a ping, and that's it.
The heal bot could come through. You're right.
Oh my god, I think Forsen is dead.
I think so. I think that's just the answer right there. Because, yeah, the ping is what you need to block, and yeah, he's just gonna freeze himself. And that is game. Oh, man.
That's a tough loss against Mech Mage.
It is. To some degree, obviously, the credit goes to the slightly tweaked deck with the Mad Scientists and the Mech Warpers and the Undertakers there coming out from Thijs. But at some point, as the opponent, you're like, man, you had like a really solid turn 1 and 2 play every game, right? He either had the Undertaker plus a Death Rattle or a Mech Warper plus another mech. So, part of it, that is the nature of deck building, right? You either increase the chances of your early game plays, and Thijs did that well, and so he takes the 4-0 Nimsh with Mech Mage. Last week it was Hunter, this week it's Mage.
Well, what can I say, Chobra? Like, I come casting and everybody wins 4-0, so next week we are going to see a 4-0 with, let's say, Rogue. That's my prediction.
That'd be pretty fun to watch, actually. If just from now on it's all sweeps since you've joined the cast here for Deckwars. But we're gonna take a quick break and we'll get to talk to Thijs himself about his 4-0 sweep against Forsen. So we'll be right back with a winner interview. Welcome back, everyone. Trevor here with Nimsh for Deckwars, and we just wrapped up week 6 of Deckwars with yet another 4-0 sweep, and the winner we have on call with us is Thijs. Congratulations, Thijs.
Thanks.
Yeah. So, we were just chatting before we kicked off the interview here, but about again how we don't have too much to talk about because it was a 4-0 sweep again. So we only really got to see one deck, but we talked a little bit about it, right? And even in the match right now, we saw it's slightly tweaked. It's not the mech mage we saw from Kibler and then Strife Crow. It seems a little bit different. But how do you feel about your deck? I mean, obviously you won, but is that kind of what you expected with your deck list?
I didn't expect that my Mech Mage will do this good. It is a deck that can, if it has like a really good start, it can really snowball and it can win every matchup. It doesn't really have a bad matchup. Like people think that Warrior is maybe bad, but Warrior is like one of the better matchups for this Mech deck. And yeah, it's not like a really I don't really like the aggressive Mech decks that are out now with the like with the Kochmaster and these cards. And I just put it in some more late game cards like Dr. Boom and Antonidas to have some better synergy if the game goes a bit longer.
Oh wait, so you had some end game? We haven't seen that. I even said that you just.
You saw the Sky Golem, right? 1 or 2 times.
Yeah, but
okay, fine. Yeah, we saw the Sky Golem, but yeah, we. I know Nimsh was talking about how you don't seem to be running the Antonidas, so that's allowing you to just really pull into the earlier
Antonidas
portion.
is also in this deck, and it is like I had really really good starts, but sometimes if you have a bit slower start, the Antonidas is so good with the spare parts. I think it's like a key card in this deck for the control matchups.
Can you tell me more about like your decision in deck building? Because we've seen like this mech mage, the original mech mage by Kibler, and then Strife Crow with only mechs and Cogmasters. Then we've seen versions with Mana Worm and like a couple of more spells to use like to abuse the spare parts. Can you tell us more about like why Undertaker and the Feral Minions? How many secrets are you running with the Mad Scientist? Are you getting the value there?
Yeah, well, because there are also a lot of the mechs, like the Yeti, the Shredder, the Golem, they all have Death Rattle, so it's a really good to, and also just a Clockwork Gnome, what is a 1-drop. That is just why Undertaker is really has already a lot of cards that help that stacks, and with the Mad Scientist just to get a free secret out of on the board, it's just really good.
Right are you having any draw issues? Like, are you running Arcane Intellect, or are you just yellowing whatever you draw into? You just play it out and it works.
No, I don't. I run like Ezra Drake in the deck, so I have a bit of a card draw, but not much. It's like you have to draw into a good curve, and that is what I did in these games by drawing into the early cards and getting like the Yeti, a Shredder, or the Sky Golem later. But this deck normally doesn't want to go longer than turn 7, turn 8.
Right on. I mean, you mentioned, you have some backup, but the goal still is to try to wrap things up in the early to mid portion of the game, and we saw that today. And I like you mentioned, we were joking about, right? It's the new Hunter, and you just mentioned kind of exactly why, because we're seeing that triple synergy with Undertaker and Max, and then Death Rattles. Do you think it's just as consistent as everyone thought Hunter was for a while, and this can really start to take on like different variations of Mech Mage can really start to take on as a norm for tournament play?
Yeah, I think it is for sure, and I think it already is. But the deck is just not that. It's just not the same as the Hunter. The Hunter is way more aggressive. This deck wins more by board control. I think you can more look at it as a zoo deck. I think you can compare it more to Lana, because board control is really important with this deck. You are never going face when there are still a lot of minions on the board. You trade everything really efficiency. But yeah, it's a really cool and also aggressive deck.
Can you tell me more about your strategy for banning? Because you didn't ban Hunter, you didn't ban Warlock, you did ban the Druid deck. So can you tell us more about that? What was your strategy coming into the bans and picks, and why Druid, and what kind of builds did you have?
The ban was more because I wasn't worried about the other classes that Forsen played, and like if he played like a paladin or something, I will maybe a bit more worried and would ban the paladin, or maybe I was considering also banning the hunter just because hunter can. My lineup is okay against hunter, but it's still hunter, so sometimes then I just want to ban it. But yeah, the strategy that I had was here just banning druids because my lineup was just not really good against druids, and I was not really sure what for a version he played for a druid, and yeah, if he plays with like a Kel'Thuzad, I didn't want to face that again, so I just wanted to ban it.
Sounds good. Just process of elimination on, well, everything else seems comfortable. Seems to be a good way to go here for your match. And you got the 4-0. So once again, congratulations. And do you have any shout outs you want to give out for your victory here this week on Deckwars?
Well, shout outs to my new team, Nihilem. I joined this month with Radu. I was already with him in MIM for a long time, and now we are together again in Nihilem. Life coach and Lothar. They also helped me really well with preparing decks, and we practice a lot. So big shout out to them.
Sounds good. Yeah, awesome. Really happy to hear about Team Nihalem doing well so far, and you guys getting together to form a new team. So once again, congratulations. That's it for week 6 of Deckwars with Chobra and Nimsh. Another 4-0 sweep, this time to Thijs with the Mech Mage, some slight variations. Also, before we head out here, I have some slightly unfortunate news for our viewers here on Machinima that we won't have Tabletop or Turn 2 today. We had some just issue with scheduling. A lot of these players were busy this week, so we weren't able to lock anyone down. So we won't be having Tabletop or Turn 2. All 3 shows will be returning same time next week. So be sure to tune in to another Best of 7 here on Machinima. That's it for us here this week on Deckwars. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.